Junk food of every decade. You can tell a lot about what happened in the past through their food trends. I mean, why else would they call it pasta? In this video, we're going to be walking through history's Junk Food Hall of Fame, hoping to learn more about your past through the unhealthy choices our ancestors have made. Stick around till the end to find out today's most recent junk food trends and what that may mean for the decades ahead of us. Fingers crossed the 2020s won't get discontinued just like everything else in the 90s. The 50s. Fast food franchise frenzy. The 50s were considered to be the golden age of America because of the booming economy. And it's from this very same golden age that the golden arches of McDonald's were born. The speedy growth of McDonald's throughout America became the proverbial green light for many other fast food chains to start franchising their restaurants, claiming as much territory as they can before McDonald's got his hands on the land. Franchises such as Whataburger, Jack in the Box, Burger King, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and heck, even Dunkin' Donuts started opening stores all throughout the United States. And with it came the fast food junk that we know and love. Burgers, shakes, French fries, donuts, and pizzas dominated throughout the 50s, and for a good reason. Yes, they're deliciously savory and sweet, but that wasn't all they were. You see, the 50s was also the time when traveling by car across the country was getting more popular, and fast food was just the most convenient junk food for travelers on the go. But then again, not everyone's looking for a freshly cooked meal to fill them up. Sometimes people just need a snack that they can chew on without the portions feeling too big. That's when the 60s came in. The 60s. Snack Attack. The 60s. A decade of love, revolution, and sugary snacks. Among the many sugary snacks birthed and popularized during this decade is everyone's breakfast junk favorite, the Pop-Tart. Frosted toaster pastries filled with your choice of the Fab Four fillings: strawberry, blueberry, apple currant, and brown sugar cinnamon. Delicious as is, but even better when you pop it into a toaster. But that wasn't the only sugary snack of the 60s, because the next snack to pack a punch would be Hunt's Snack Packs. That's right, your favorite pudding packs first found its home in aluminum cans all throughout the 60s, rather than the plastic packs we know and love today. On the other side of the snack flavor spectrum, we have the Cheesy Chips. One of the biggest chip brands we know and love today was first founded in the 60s. Triangular, cheesy, and oh so crisp, Doritos have been caking our fingertips with their signature nacho cheese flavor since 1964, and the brand has only expanded since. But the snacking doesn't stop there, and the 70s would give rise to many more iconic junk foods. The 70s. Non-stop pop. When you think of the 70s, you think of disco. Dance floors filled every night with stylish teens grooving to the music. But all that energy has to come from somewhere, right? Thankfully for them, music wasn't the only thing popping during the 70s. Ring pops were first introduced in the 70s as an entertaining and stylish way to enjoy the common lollipop. But the style was only a byproduct of its main purpose, because the creator of Ring Pops originally created the iconic candy as a way to stop his daughter from sucking her thumb. Speaking of pop, this decade also gave way to Pop Rocks. This junk food can simply be described as ticklish sugar that pops on your mouth, because that's all that it basically is. Extra sugar to add on to whatever sugary treat you already had. On the other side of the junk flavor spectrum, we have an iconic salty potato chip that towers over its competition. Literally, Pringles was the first ever stackable potato chip, and the idea was novel enough to keep it going even past this decade. They weren't kidding when they said once you pop, the fun don't stop. The 80s. Space snacks. By the time the 80s rolled around, people began looking to the stars. The MTV Moon Man was born, E.T. was released, and Star Wars fever was also in full swing. And as with everything, the junk food soon followed the trends. One notable junk food that skyrocketed in popularity was Reese's Pieces. Of course, Reese's Pieces were being distributed internationally way before the 80s. But their rise in popularity came from the world's original adorable alien, E.T. These sugary pebbles of chocolate and peanut butter were E.T.'s snack of choice, portrayed multiple times in the film itself. Another surprising snack to follow in the space race would be Sour Patch Kids. These chewy, sweet, and sour gummies found its way to America in the 80s. But what others may not know is that they weren't always shaped like kids. Sour Patch Kids were originally shaped like Martians, but the shape was soon changed to kids to appeal to American children at the time. The 90s. Sugar Rush. By the time the 90s rolled in, almost every sugary and salty junk food had already been made. So really, the only way to build on perfection would be to just add more of the good stuff, leading to excessively sweet or salty snacks. One such snack is the Dunkaroo, a pack of biscuits packed alongside a sweet frosting dip bespeckled with sprinkles. Now, you might be wondering, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable combination, right? Well, it's extra junky when you take into account that the biscuits are optional. Some kids have even been known to buy it for the frosting alone, making it a one-way ticket to diabetes. It's part of the reason why the snack was discontinued so early into its lifespan. And on the other end of the junk food flavor spectrum, we have Lunchables, cute little packages of crackers and processed meat and cheese that are not only delicious, but a fun little activity for your kids as well. Though don't be fooled, this snack is so high in sodium and artificial processing that you may as well just give your child a heaping teaspoon of salt. The 2000s. Junk in disguise. By the 2000s, people became more health conscious. Cutting out most of the food that was obviously unhealthy, junk food brands then came up with ways to disguise their foods as healthy. Take snack bars, for example. A granola, nut, or cereal bar marketed as a healthy snack filled with protein and fiber, which it is, but it fails to bring up the fact that it's also filled with sugars and other artificial flavors. McDonald's also released salad shakers, a novel idea of a salad placed in a cup that you can just shake to toss and eat on the go. Of course, vegetables are healthy and should be part of everyone's diet, but the healthy part kinda gets lost when you coat it in dressings that are so calorically dense that you might as well just eat a burger. Frozen yogurt also began popping up as a healthier alternative to ice cream. Marketed as having all the probiotic benefits of actual yogurt while still tasting like dessert. How do they achieve this? By putting in copious amounts of added sugar and sugary toppings. Truly, the 2000s was the decade when we were all just lying to ourselves about our health. The 2010s. Experimental cuisine. As almost every staple junk food item was being perfected, many brands thought it was time to think outside of the box. The 2010s are home to more experimental flavors, such as artisanal ice cream. People were no longer constrained to the usual tooth-rotting sweet ice cream flavors. Now, manufacturers release flavors such as pizza, fried chicken, and a whole lot more. Though the flavors are different, the only thing added to ice cream was just more artificial flavors. Another unique junk food item to come from the 2010s was the introduction of the Cronut, a mix between a croissant and donut with all the unhealthy aspects of both. Buttery, deep-fried, and still flaky, these Cronuts stormed the scene for a short while, just because of the excessiveness. A novelty that was also hyped up during this decade was the Double Down by KFC, a literal chicken sandwich that replaces the bread with deep-fried chicken fillets. The filling? Some nice bacon and cheese to pull it all together. Now, that's what you call a cholesterol bomb. Truly, this decade was the Wild West of junk foods. And there you have it. That is a list of every junk food from the 50s all the way to the 2010s. As we're a quarter of the way through this decade, it's exciting to see just what the future holds for junk food, because when it comes to junk, sometimes ignorance is bliss.